Today we're talking with Amin, Shamin Hotels. Neil's second generation hotelier. We're going to learn about his humble beginnings, growing up in a motel since the age of 12, to Wharton, to Goldman, back to running a hotel company in Richmond with 62 hotels. Coming to us today from his gorgeous Hampton Inn rooftop in downtown Richmond. Another great story from another great family in our industry.
Neil, thank you for coming on today. I appreciate you coming on. I'm so excited to have this dialogue. Your story is incredible, so I'm super excited about this.
Thank you, Teague. Appreciate it.
No worries. Where are you today? It's a great background. We picked a beautiful day to host this.
Yeah, it was a great day. We're at the rooftop. It's called the Cabana Rooftop of our Hampton Homewood in downtown Richmond. It was the first rooftop restaurant bar / nightclub, don't tell Hilton, that, is part of a Hampton Inn. So we're excited to do this.
I'll be sure to keep it our secret.
Yeah.
You're in the running right now. That might be one of the best backdrops we've had yet. I mean, people are up in their game now.
Yeah. It's funny. The rooftop right now is doing more revenue than our 244 rooms.
Oh, that's sad. Tell me, give me more.
So, people want to be outdoors, right? So, they're coming out here, pretty much every day of the week. People are working from home. So we say Thursday's the new Friday now, right? Thursday night is when people come out. And then you have Friday, and then you have families on Saturday and Sunday. And, people enjoy the outdoors and socialize, in obviously in a safe manner.
So more rooftop bars and restaurants in your portfolio. Is that what
I think so, yeah.
Four-story Hampton Inn with a rooftop bar?
Yeah.
All right, so I love it. Though, remind me, how many hotels you guys got now?
So we have 62 currently.
62. How many are in Richmond?
Richmond 39.
And then where are your other ones? Norfolk, and I got a bunch on the beach in Norfolk.
Yeah, we got 13 in the Norfolk MSA, which is the number one performing MSA post-COVID. So that's really helped us during this time period.
How are your Norfolk assets doing, the beachfront ones versus your Richmond assets?
They're doing fantastic. They really supported us during this downturn. We're running the same occupancy, 99% in the summer. The rate was a little bit off because we didn't want to take a lot of chances. We're happy just to get the revenue. But, they did very well. And, it's interesting. We're seeing a different customer this year at the oceanfront. You're seeing people that are 20 to 40, no kids, that definitely want to get out and have a good time. So, it's great.
Yeah, it's interesting, the changing dynamics in our time. All right, so we're going to get into it, and I want you're going to be very open with me. I'm going to ask you the questions. I want to know how your hotels are doing, what struggles you're having right now, how you're managing through this process. We know it's tough, but before that, I got to ask because I love doing it, and your story is incredible. Talk to me about how you got started in this industry. Give me the stories about growing up in the motel.
Yeah. So, my family started the company. My father, his story was that he went to go pick up his sister, and she was at a friend's house, and that was a small motel, like a 20-room motel. And, he pulls up, and he sees that this guy has a Cadillac. He said, man, there's something to this business, right? This guy can afford a Cadillac, so let me look into this. So him and his brother-in-law started looking for assets, and, they bought the first one from the RTC, and then we bought one here in Richmond, and that's where I grew up. So I grew up in this motel until I was 12 years old. The desk clerks were my babysitters. My dad would utilize me, my small size, to creep into, mechanical rooms and things like that to help wherever I could. But it was a great childhood. I never regretted anything. And, I saw firsthand the power of hospitality.
Yeah, good for you. Although, can you imagine your kids growing up in the hotel these days?
God, I tell them and I take them, we still have that first motel. I keep saying hotel and motel. I take them by there and I show them the pictures and I said, look, this is where I grew up. And, I want them to experience that. I think it's priceless.
Yeah, I love it. They wouldn't understand. All right, so then what? So then we grew up in the motel, and then what? College?
So then, I went to the Wharton School, UPenn in Philadelphia. I did undergraduate business and did an MBA there as well. And then I worked at Goldman Sachs. Well, actually, before that, I spent a summer in Silicon Valley in 1999, and it was the craziest time in the world. We were just valuing companies based on eyeballs. I remember working with like Lycos and InfoSeek. If you remember those, Alta Vista. That time, Alta Vista was like the #1 search engine. And it was just like, okay, how many eyeballs do they have? And okay, it's worth $1 billion, you know? Crazy times.
That's when you buy a stock for $10 and it'd go to 100 or 1,000.
Yeah, exactly.
People weren't buying hotels because they were making so much money in the stock market.
Yeah, yeah. You go to a party and people don't even know the name of the company. They just know the ticker symbol, right?
That's right. All right, so we graduate from Wharton and we go to where?
So then I went to Goldman Sachs in New York. So I graduated in 2001. And, I'm an only child, by the way. So, I was talking to my parents and they said, look, we kind of know real estate a little bit, but there's this tech boom going on. Let's not focus on real estate. Why don't you learn about tech, right? So I did tech M&A at Goldman. And, that was great timing because I joined in 2001, right? And then the market collapsed, right? Right when I joined. Believe it or not, I joined September 2001, so right before 9/11 in New York.
Oh.
So I still remember the day I was there. I was in the subway when the first plane hit, and I was walking up the steps of the Wall Street station when the second plane hit. And, after the first plane hit, everybody rushed, kind of towards the building just to help because they thought it was an accident. Let's help anybody we could. And then the second plane hit, and obviously it was a different dynamic. And we were stuck in our building at 85 Broad for hours, and we had to walk home. We had to walk from the financial district to 14th Street. They shut down all public transportation, and we were covered in ash. But what I remember from that is it brought New Yorkers together. After that environment, and I kind of look at that as what may happen after COVID is, people want to be together, they want to support each other, and we're seeing that already here.
That's crazy. I forgot about that, but good for you. All right, so we do New York, and then we go back to join the family business. What's the catalyst to join the family? Did Dad say, "Come on," or were you like?
He's never going to admit that. You know that. No, it was both ways. Honestly, it's interesting. When I tell the story, it's like when I joined college, we had 4 hotels, right, in 1996. When I was at Goldman, we had 8 hotels. So, when you're going to college and your family has 4 is great, but it wasn't honestly my plan to come back to run 4 hotels. Then they had 8. And then, so the discussion started happening. Well, look, what's the plan? And, of course I wanted to help them. I didn't want them to continue to work hard if I was not going to come back and join the business, So the thought was you can continue slaving away at Goldman and at some point leaving, or kind of go back early and take and help them as much as possible. So that was the thought. If I want to do it, I might as well do it sooner than later.
So how old were you when you joined the family? When you came back?
I was about 23.
And what was your title?
It was CFO. That from Wharton and Goldman, that's all I knew. It's a funny story. I look back at this at Wharton. I love Wharton, by the way, but they taught us that you borrow as much as possible to lower your cost of capital, right? That was, we do all these case studies, and they would do it. And I remember, at the end, they would say, what are the negatives of this, right? And all you have to do is write, there's a cost of financial distress. As long as you wrote that, it was kind of like, you're covered, right? You're acknowledging the pitfalls of borrowing too much. But, so I'm just bringing that up because, now we've lived through 2 cycles, right? And,
right.
We really understand that there's obviously tremendous benefits of being conservative.
So tell me what you learned. Give me your Wharton experience, or your Goldman experience. Tell me what you learned on the financial side that is helping you today.
Yeah, at Goldman, the biggest thing I learned was just meeting so many people, so many CEOs of companies. I learned so much. You get a breadth of experience. Everybody has a different view on the way the world works and how to manage people. And I'll tell you, the big thing about Goldman is, and this is in 2000, they're very big on diversity. Like that was one of their core pillars. And I think that was very important. My immediate team leader was a West Point graduate, and he had no business training at all, but he had tremendous leadership training. And for me, I was this young kid who, I knew how to do some numbers, but honestly, I didn't have the leadership training. So I learned a phenomenal amount from him. So I think, that really taught me, definitely at Shamin as well, the importance of diversity, avoiding groupthink, having, that diverse point of view to ensure that, we're taking care of our guests.
So would you recommend that path to other young people coming up to the industry? Get away, go do something else, learn, and then come back?
Definitely. I think, it's important, but I think for me, it was important to get some credibility, right? Otherwise, you come back and it's like, okay, what do you know? I mean, I still got that, honestly, but, over time, hopefully I proved my worth.
Oh, I love it. All right. So help me. Now you're fully trained and you've been in this thing for way too long now, 20 years. So Tell me how you manage in this company and these assets, a hotel company, in a brutal global pandemic. How you leading them?
I mean, we're here for the long run. I think you know that about us. We don't sell. We want to have a solid foundation, right? So, what's a solid foundation? Of course, it starts with our associates, and so that's the first thing we did in March. Right when COVID occurred, we announced $100,000 associate assistance fund. So we donated $100,000, set up a fund with a foundation, and associates, we had weekly calls. Associates can call in and, request funds for shelter, for food, for, rent, utility support. And we were very proud to disperse those funds. I mean, honestly, it's probably the brightest spot for COVID for us is to be able to do that for our associates. We always want to help our associates, but this was a great opportunity to do it. We always want to know how can we do it, and this was the best way.
Good for you.
So
there I asked, those 100,000 over sort of how many associates do you have? You got a lot.
So we have 3,000.
Yeah, that's a bunch. Good for you. Is there any money left, or has it been dispersed?
So we have some money left, but we told them that if it gets dispersed, we'll continue refunding it. The whole point was that we wanted them to know at the onset, when there was so much uncertainty, that we had their backs, right? I mean, when times are good, we have your back, but clearly when you need it the most, we're here for you. And that's the message we want to deliver, and hopefully people appreciate it.
And you did that in March. I mean, that's early. Good for you. And was that out of personal pocket?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Honestly, Teague, this is a true statement. We're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars a day, right? I mean, it's like, is $100,000 gonna, it's gonna do a tremendous amount of goodwill for our associates. It's probably not gonna, affect the survival of Shamin Hotels, right?
I love that spirit. Good for you. And I love that we're laughing about losing $100,000 a day. So whatever. All right. So keep going. So let's talk about losing, occupancies dropped to what?
Yeah.
How you working with banks?
So the first thing we did, that was like March 18th, we put together, I wrote a letter to all of our lenders just saying, look, this is our plan. This is what we're going to do. I called all of our jurisdictions, like our counties and local governments, and said, look, we can't pay your real estate taxes. We can't pay your lodging taxes. We can't pay your meals taxes. Help us, secure some liquidity and defer those payments. And they were all honestly very supportive. I mean, that was a great win. Dominion Power, which, provides utilities for us, they deferred, over $1 million of payments for us. So we did that with every single vendor and said, look, we've been around for 40 years. We're going to be around for another 40. But just help us during this time period. So we put together a plan and sent that out to our lenders to let them know that we're on top of it first.
Wait, so that worked for balance sheet. How much CMBS debt do you have?
So same thing. We have 17 CMBS loans, and we have 3 life company loans. And so reached out to all of them. And, believe it or not, we got deferrals on 7 CMBS loans.
Oh, wow.
And it was a lot of hard work. I mean, we had to constantly reach out to them every week, daily, and just say, look, we need help, we need help, we need help. And, honestly, I think they're doing the right thing in some ways. I mean, what they're saying is, look, we only want to give help to people that need it, right? Because when that happened, every single borrower asked for help, even the guys that have tons of money, right? And so I think they said, look, we really want to make sure you need it. So that's why I think it took some time for them to approve these deferrals. And so our calculation was, we have 7 larger hotels that definitely need it. We have 8 others that, they're smaller, they didn't need it as much. And is it worth spending $10,000 in fees to get $100,000 of relief? We just said, so we kind of withdrew the requests on those. But I mean, I'll tell you, we have a $90 million CMBS loan where they let us defer payments, like $2 million of payments. And not only that, this blew my mind. So for the debt service coverage test, they said, yeah, we're not going to use Q2 2020. We're going to use Q2 2019 going forward. So clearly they're here to help us, right? I mean, that was something that was very positive for our company.
All right. So one, that's amazing and good for you. But devil's advocate, that was in March, which dare I say, maybe those conversations were easier. Here we are, I don't know, October. What are the conversations like today?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's hard to get a second round deferral on CMBS, as you can imagine. And now we got to pay back the deferrals, right? I mean, so it's definitely, more of a burden for us. We were still talking to two of them just to get some longer term relief on some hotels that have some upcoming renovations. And so that's still, they're still supportive of, let's figure out how to get past this downturn. The balance sheet lenders, as most of as Mitch and Amin, all those guys said, is they're easy to work with, But I will tell you this, my prediction is that the balance sheet guys are going to become more difficult than CMBS. And here's the reason why. The balance sheet guys are saying, look, wait a minute, you're paying CMBS, but you're not paying us? How's that fair? Right? I mean, and it's like, you're going to use all your liquidity on CMBS where you don't have a personal guarantee. You're taking money out of your personal balance sheet to pay CMBS. How's that fair to us? Right? And so with CMBS, it's like, as long as you pay them, they're happy. And in this environment, you could even probably not pay them for 60 days and they're happy. Right? For the balance sheet guys, they're going to say, well, let's do an appraisal. Oh, this loan matures soon. Or, what's the debt service coverage on this? Or, is this collateral really worth what it used to be? Right?
When do you think that really starts kicking in? Timing?
I think definitely in January, it's going to be, look, we gotta figure out, are these loans the right size or not?
Yeah.
And the only reason I say this, I went through this in 2009. Gosh, 2009 was so tough. We had, we built that Hilton in Richmond, 4 Diamond, and we started construction December 2009.
Yes.
Okay. And Wachovia was our lender. And during construction, Wells Fargo bought Wachovia. So then Wells Fargo comes in and, and I don't blame them. They're like, we got to see what's going on here. We're giving them a hard hat tour in March of 2010, on a 4 Diamond hotel, and so, it took a couple of years, to right size loans, not just for us, but for everybody. So I think, unfortunately, that's what's going to happen next year and the year after. And it's going to be a drag on new investment industry.
So not trying to, at the risk of picking winners and losers, who's going to win and who's not? What skills and talents and relationships and depth of pockets do you need to have to survive?
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of people that have come into the industry over the last 10 years. And I think, unfortunately, they're the ones who don't have that experience or the depth. And they're gonna get affected the most. And part of it is they may not have the sophistication too. Some of my lenders are telling me that some of the big banks are like, the larger guys, like the guys that you interview, they understand, right? They have the CFO, they've been through this. Kind of the smaller guys that may have 8 to 10 hotels that, they know how to run a great, limited service hotel, but they're probably not the best at forecasting and, and understanding values and cycles and things like that. So unfortunately, I think they're the ones who the banks are more likely to focus on, to move them to special assets and try and move those off the books.
So do you think your size is helping you? Because I might have thought it's the opposite. You're so big, you got 61, you can't keep them all. That's an elephant. How are you going to really hang on? Whereas the small guy only's got a couple that he's got to worry about. But you're telling me it's the opposite.
I think it depends. We've been through this before, so I've always said I don't want to go through that again. So we've been very conservative. We haven't done a lot of development, honestly. We've acquired a lot more hotels, thanks to your help as well, you and Hunter Hotels. We acquired 27 hotels since 2012, and all those that we acquired were below replacement cost. Yeah. When we acquired them, we had to do a PIP, so they're all freshly renovated. And I think our lenders see that, the basis is very low. And then, we have a 40-year track record. So we tell them, look, we've been through this, many times. And
All right. All right. So a question I love to ask. Do you see guys more or less hotels for Shamin Hotels coming out of this?
I think we'll definitely have more, but I'll tell you, my top priority is I don't want to stress my associates, because you can imagine everybody's working 2 jobs right now, right? And the last thing I want to do is say, hey, I got a great deal, let's buy this hotel, and now you got to go visit that hotel and do this and change over and turn it around, and maybe you can make a great return, but I don't think that's fair to our management team or our associates, honestly. What I would like to do is, I think this is an opportunity to buy generational assets. My view, and I think you and I have talked about this, is that everything's for sale right now, right? The stuff that people would say, don't even call me about it, I'm never going to sell it, that's for sale, right? And so our view is, if we can pick up 1 or 2 of those generational high barrier to entry, you don't have to worry about new supply ever, right? I mean, that's what we would like.
And I'm going to put words in your mouth, and you're buying that at almost par, not at a big discount, but you can buy it today and control it today, whereas you couldn't control it yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you can even there's one, that we were looking at, and you could buy it maybe at a 10-15% discount. Because and that owner's saying, look, I could take that money and I could buy 10 hotels at a huge discount. So I think that's the calculus on it.
It'll be interesting, but I think there might be a big changing of hands of assets.
Yeah.
You take mine and I'll take yours.
Yeah. Good for your business, right?
Yeah. Well, let's hope. It's a little tough right now. All right. Let's talk about operations then. Dive in. Tell me what you guys are having to do operationally. Certainly to keep guests safe, also your associates safe, and to shrink costs so that you can pay the lenders.
Sure. I mean, definitely we had to furlough individuals. I mean, that was very tough for us. But the one thing we didn't do is we did not reduce compensation for anybody. Again, we just want people to feel like, when times are tough, we're with them, right? And so that was the first thing we wanted to make sure we did as long as we could. And then, obviously we're cutting costs wherever we can. I mean, we have a bunch of full service hotels, convention type hotels. We're not doing van shuttles. We don't have bellmen. It's definitely reduced services at all those hotels. And that's enabled us to break even at a much lower rate. I mean, we were shocked. We were expecting to lose a lot more money than we are. We're still losing money, but, it's really on those corporate convention center hotels. The limited service extended stay hotels are doing fine. So I think, for us, we're running about 46% occupancy right now. And that's skewed because we have, like I said, those 200, 300 room hotels that are running 10, 15%. But, overall, I would say maybe we're breaking even on 90% of the hotels. And we got, 10% that are losing money.
What's break even today? What's break even today with debt service on a limited service hotel?
So on a limited service, it's probably about 50%. But, that's not sustainable, right? I mean, it's like the way we're operating hotels right now, it's like your car. If you don't, do maintenance on it, at some point it's going to break down, right? So that's the worry. That's the worry, honestly.
That makes sense. What other nuances you see in between your leisure hotels, your convention hotels, and just your standard limited service or your business hotels?
Yeah, I mean, so, leisure is back, and that's been great. And we're at Richmond, where we have a bunch of hotels, as a drive-to destination. So that helps quite a bit. On the convention hotels, we're really trying to be creative. You've got to. We have a lot of relationships with localities here. We've talked to them about, should we convert ballrooms to schools, right? I mean, because, there's this whole push. I don't know about Atlanta, but here, this whole push between in-person and virtual. Half the parents want to be in-person, half want to be in virtual. So we're saying, look, why don't we help you? You can bus people to the hotels, and we can set up our breakout rooms as classrooms. And if that helps the school district and we make a little money out of it, we can provide lunches. So those are the type of things that we're doing. We're definitely working with hospitals as well. And that's helping us survive. I mean, full service, I got to tell you, I think we got to figure out as an industry how to really ensure full service survives, post-COVID, because we're getting hit in a lot of different angles. Like, I think about the Hunter Conference, and a lot of the events, after the conference are not at hotels, right? I mean, we go to, a bunch of different venues. Painted Pin, I remember, was a great one down there in Atlanta. And so, full service hotels can't compete with that, right? People aren't going to a ballroom just to go hang out at 9 p.m. Yeah.
All right, give me some other creative, fundamental changes in our industry. I mean, we're going to have to change significantly. How do you see it?
I mean, our cost structure is just, it has to change. I mean, we cannot keep going forward like this. We cannot have two survival type recessions in 10 years and expect it to be business as usual coming out of this, I mean, one thing like, technology, I mean, I know, I still remember I rode in your Tesla and I bought one, probably a month later. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
But, I mean, look, Tesla has self-driving cars, Amazon, you can buy anything on, but like a full service hotel, if I want to know if the ballroom is available, my understanding is that I still got to call the hotel, talk to somebody and say, hey, I want to book it. Is it available? I mean, why shouldn't that be available through technology on brand.com or anywhere, right? I mean, why do we have people that have to answer that call and provide that, space and rates and dates, right? So I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to use technology to improve the cost structure, for sure.
Sure, but go the other way. I mean, we love these Zoom calls, but is this the future or not? Are we still getting together?
No. I got a funny story. So a friend of mine, he's trying to sell his company and he's interviewing investment banks, right? So he knew that I was in the business. So he called me. He said, look, tell me what you think. And so I said, okay, who'd you talk to? He said, well, we talked to two banks. The guys came in, we had a great meeting and all that stuff. The second group, they did it by Zoom. And then at the end of the Zoom call, the guys said, can we answer any more questions? And the guy said, well, did you know that your competitor came in to see me an hour ago and I'm talking to you guys on Zoom, And so I'm like, that would be the perfect commercial for our industry, right? Can you imagine you're pitching for a piece of business and you got one guy on Zoom and then one guy you're having drinks at a hotel bar, which one would you go with, right?
I'm going to save that. I'm going to steal that, Neil. That's a great one. We'll find that somewhere.
Yeah.
You got to go see people.
Yeah, you got to see people, But I think the other thing is I got a lot of friends who are in the apartment business, right? I mean, for them, they get a 40-year HUD loan at 2.5%, 85% leverage, no brand standards, no, very little headache. And so, I mean, when you look at that compared to our industry, it's like, we're working really hard to, for this passion that we have, for hospitality, right? I mean, we're not going to change it for that, but it's just like, we got to do something to improve the health, right? Because lenders, and this is my other fear, lenders are going to say, look, man, we're mispricing hospitality assets, right? I mean, if we have to worry about them every 10 years, should we really be in this business? And that scares me.
Yeah, that scares us too. We've thought about that. Yeah. But, I go back to why are we in this business? I do think the outsized returns are there.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm with you. If people start thinking there's outside risk in there as well, that's not good for us.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're the lender expert. I'll let you figure it out.
I don't know about that.
All right. Give me the future of our industry and then the future of Shamin Hotels.
Yeah, I mean, I think our industry, there's real momentum around, changing the cost structure. And I know some of your guys talked about it. We're all in the same committees with all the brands. And the good news is that I think the brands realize it. I mean, the brands obviously were hurt as well. So I think they realize that, they need to change this mentality if we're going to continue to grow and prosper. So I think that's definitely there. My hope is that you're going to see less independence now. Because, before this, I think there were a lot of non-hoteliers that said, look, I just want to own a hotel. I went to school at this university and I want to build a hotel on campus. And that was just a lot of noise and extra supply that kind of affected us. So I'm hopeful that supply will be gone and good for Hilton and Marriott and IHG and others that people may focus more on brands. So I think that's definitely, coming. For Shamin, we're continue to grow at a measured pace. We have 3 hotels under construction. We have 3 that we're actually going to start construction. I know it seems crazy, but I mean, here's my thought. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can get maybe 10%, 15% less on the construction cost. Rates are so low right now, right? So I'm saving maybe 10, 15% if I stretch it out for 4 years in terms of my financing costs. So I'm 20, 30% below. If I went out and tried to buy something today, maybe I'd get 20, 30% discount, but then I got to do a PIP. It's an older asset. And the big thing is that carrying costs, right? So, I mean, we're kind of looking at it both ways.
So I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth. One, we see development is crazy. Anybody developing anything today is crazy. However, I do think that the thesis is there if you can get costs down, which we haven't seen yet. But if you can get construction costs down, and if you can do good projects in good markets, the time you open them will be right about the time the world's coming back. And I think you'll be in great shape. But that's tricky. I don't know when the world's coming back. And can you get loan today? If you had the best project, could you get a loan for it today? Or could you not?
Yeah.
I don't know. It takes real guts to do a development project today, I think.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because, my lenders just said, we're deferring your payments on your existing loans, but you want to borrow more money on a new hotel?
All right, I love it. I'm with you on the lenders. All right, Neil. So give me, listen. I know you're. Tell me on the personal side. Hope the family's well. But tell me what mountain we're climbing next. Tell me what crazy adventure we're doing. You always got something.
Yeah, I love the outdoors, and we climbed. I have a group of friends. We climbed a couple of 14,000 feet mountains in Colorado.
As you do.
It was a great experience, bonding experience. And then we went on the shark diving trip to Mexico. Got in some cages for about a week, and I saw these great whites. I mean, these are massive animals. Massive fish. I had no idea.
Were you scared to death?
I was a little bit, honestly. What scared me? You saw the teeth marks on the cages. So, you get in this cage, you see teeth marks, you're like, oh man, this is a little dangerous, But, it was a great experience. At the end of the day, my view is that your life is about your experiences, right? I mean, we can work all day long, but these are things I remember. If you ask me, these are things I remember. That's what's important.
Which hopefully is the thing which we've learned in this COVID. We all do this because we're passionate about it. And it's nice, hopefully financially, but life is about our family. Life is about your friends. Life is about your adventures. So we got to spend more time in that and less workaholics like we all are, right?
Yeah. That's the best thing about COVID. I mean, got to spend time with the family, kids who were at home, from school, and, it was a great bonding experience. They got to see what I was doing. I got to see what little work they were doing. It was great.
That's right. Now we'll get back. Are they back in school? Kids back in school?
They are. They both are back in school. Yeah.
Yeah, back to some sense of normal. All right, Neil, you're a true friend. I appreciate it. I hope we get to do this in person soon. I want to come sit on that rooftop and have a beer with you.
That sounds great. I look forward to it.
I agree. Or March, whenever I see you first.
That's great.
Thanks, Neil. You're the best.
All right, you too. Take care.
All right, bye.